It is the Riot Podcast, the Wednesday, November 29th edition. A big show today. Lots of stuff that we cover. We talk about some of the craziest places that people have fallen asleep, ourselves included. We also talk about the word of the year, according to the dictionary people, and propose some alternatives because we don't think theirs is very good.
We also talk about a fantastic Would You Rather Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather spend the rest of your life poor and married or rich and single?
Tells you a lot about us. Our answers on that one, I think.
Lots of good ones.
Yeah, which one of us is a real romantic and which one is very selfish. Good podcast today, as always. And watch out, the bonus podcast episode for this week should be dropping any time now as well. So you get a little extra bonus, little treat on your Wednesday. We'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot, RadioU.
Good day, Isaiah.
Good morning.
Yeah, did you learn it to do, can we cut and start over? Did you learn to write cursive in school?
Did I write cursive? Yes.
Yeah, they still taught that when you were in school. Apparently, cursive handwriting has been out of schools in most places for quite a while. They say that it's waned after Common Core standards were adapted in schools. But now many states are signing laws that make it mandatory for cursive to be taught. Do you think that's an important thing for schools to mandate?
I think cursive should be taught.
And why do you say that?
Because there's a million things in school that you learn that are pointless and you never use.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're going to learn anything, cursive's one of the more useful things that you could learn. Because there's a lot of things that I don't remember how to do that I learned in school, but I still remember how to write in cursive. Which you might say, when would you ever use that? But at least I know how to do my signature.
I know. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I know I get, if I was asked to give an autograph now, I know how I would do it.
I know how to sign a check.
Yep. That's another useless thing you could learn in school.
Yeah. And so there's so many things that are annoying that you learn in school that you're never going to use again.
Yeah.
So cursive at least feels historical. So when you look at the Constitution and other things, like they used cursive back in the day.
And like artsy too.
Yeah.
Like it's if it's nice cursive, then there is a visually pleasing aspect to it. Now some people it becomes much more difficult to read their writing. I was thinking what is more important, teaching people to write cursive or teaching people to read cursive?
I think they kind of go hand in hand.
You think so?
Yeah, because if you know how to...
What better way to learn to read it than to write it yourself?
I would say so.
Yeah.
But I think it's still something that should be taught. Because, yet again, there's so many pointless things that you learn in school.
But do you think it's so important that states, like governors, I'm seeing like it looks like California, New Hampshire, like their governors are signing laws that are like, from this day forth, cursive must be taught in schools.
Well, I think it's because it's like one of the few things that you talk about in elementary schools that they teach that's pointless. Like everybody acts like cursive is the only dumb thing that we taught. Like they're like, well, people are learning cursive for no reason. I'm like, we also learned about rocks. Like there's rocks that we learn about. And I don't know what any of those rocks were. I don't know what they are, but I know how to write an E in cursive. I know how to do that.
That can actually be helpful.
Yeah, exactly. And so
instead of picking up something on the sidewalk and be like, oh, it's anthracite.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you look back and you look at my 4th grade curriculum, you want to know the only thing that I probably remember, it's how to write in cursive. And so whether that's a good reason to keep it around or not, I feel like that's a good enough reason.
All right, well, here's the last good argument against it. Could that time be better spent teaching something that's actually useful?
But also...
What if you spent more time
on the rocks?
Teaching like 4th graders how to do taxes?
But I also think that if we don't teach it, then it just goes to the wayside. Cursive could just disappear.
Yeah. Could it?
I mean, if they don't teach the young people it, and everybody my age doesn't know how to write in cursive, then it's just going to disappear.
And would that be bad?
I think it's a part of history that we all should know.
All right. Isaiah's throwing his weight behind the cursive bills in school.
Keep it around.
Yeah. But get rid of the rock class.
Get rid of them rocks.
Yeah.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow at RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
It's time for some useless knowledge. I'm going to ask you guys some questions. You all are going to answer. And if you get the questions right, you win absolutely nothing.
Zip.
A big celebratory day yesterday.
Giving Tuesday.
Exactly. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're talking about National French Toast Day.
Oh, a day we're celebrating.
Which I celebrated last night because I did breakfast for dinner. Made French toast.
You made it from scratch?
Made it from scratch.
What kind of bread do you use?
Just like the regular Kroger white bread.
Oh, okay. I thought you might have gotten like a nice brioche.
No, it's the only one I
sourdough.
had at the house was the regular Kroger bread.
Yeah.
So that's what we used.
Got it.
But it was so good, though. It was very good. So yesterday, National French Toast Day. So I've got some French toast useless knowledge for you.
Perfect.
There's many a names for French toast. I've got 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 here.
Okay.
From different countries. What they call it around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how many names you can list, or even just one. If you can get one, I'll give it to you. Can you name just one thing
Well,
that maybe in Germany they call French toast? Maybe in Scotland? Maybe in Canada?
Uh-huh.
Any of them?
You can see I'm making a face.
Doesn't like you know.
Yeah, like I'm not very confident about this. But maybe somebody knows, and they can shoot us the answer at 8772 Radio U for useless knowledge. And whether you get it right or wrong, you won't win anything. But if you get it right, it would be helpful. We'll find out what the answer is to the useless knowledge.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
We're in the midst of useless knowledge. Today's theme, French toast. Isaiah has your question.
Yesterday was National French Toast Day. And there's many a names for French toast across the world. Are you able to name one of the many other names that other countries call it, other people call it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was a little thrown by this question. I was a little nervous because I don't know much about other countries. But I did some thinking, and I think I've got one. I believe the answer is freedom toast.
Oh, freedom toast.
Yeah.
Freedom toast.
Remember when we hated the French for a while? We wanted to substitute all of our references to France for some reason. I remember that from when I was a very small child. I don't know why that was what we were so upset with France for. What could it possibly have been?
It's where we made it freedom toast.
Freedom toast, freedom fries.
Yeah, that was a tough part for us.
Yeah.
The ones that I had here include eggy bread.
Where's that? Wait, that's got to be like England.
That's Canada.
I've got family. I've never heard
That's what
anyone
they call
it
it.
eggy
I don't know what to
bread.
tell you. That's what they call it.
What do you mean they?
German toast. You have any guesses for where that's from?
Wait, they call it somewhere calls it German toast.
German toast.
Germany?
Very good.
Is that true?
Obviously.
They just claimed it? We invented it. Is that the French?
Poor Knight's pudding.
I like that.
That was like one of the OG ones, the very beginning ones.
Uh-huh.
Because in the beginning days, obviously, it's a really easy thing to make, bread and egg,
Yeah.
you know?
It is kind of a struggle meal.
And then the final one, I don't know where this is from, but they call it apparently Bombay toast.
Ooh.
I kind of like that. Kind of rolls up the tongue.
Yeah. Bombay is a great word.
Let's do some rapid fire. We're going to go around the world with French toast. In what country is the main addition to French toast peanut butter?
Switzerland. That'd probably be Nutella there.
I was looking for Hong Kong.
How did I not know that?
What about this one? In this country, French toast is made in a casserole many a times, which they
Ooh.
call Army Ritter a Fluff. Which country is this?
Netherlands?
I was looking for Germany.
Are you sure you got the pronunciation right on that?
I don't know for sure. What about this one? In this country, they put 2 sausage pieces in between the layers of French toast, and they eat it like a hamburger. Where are they doing that?
That's got to be the UK.
I was looking for Scotland.
Well, that's in the UK.
You can't just say UK.
Yeah, you can. Scotland's not a country, right?
I believe it's a country.
The UK is the country, and Scotland's like a part of it.
Just another little mini country.
But it's like it's better than a state, but worse than a country.
Scotland, answer for yourself. What are you?
Yeah.
That's French toast.
Explain yourselves.
The only other good one was in Italy. They make it with mozzarella in between.
Ooh.
That's kind of good.
Some recipes to try to look up on this belated National French Toast Day.
Breakfast for dinner. That's what I did last night.
That's a good call.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
I have a couple here. They met. You ever heard of Duolingo?
I've heard of Duolingo.
Duolingo, a language learning app for your phone. This couple claims they met on Duolingo years ago, and it all led to, over time, they are now married.
How sweet.
Yeah. And they claim that, I mean, I could go through all the details. It is impressive that the guy is from DC, the lady from the Philippines. And they linked up on Duolingo. He would travel to visit her from time to time. They'd watch movies remotely. They said they would like video chat for 25 hours a week after meeting, and then eventually, got married. They think this is going to be a very normal occurrence, this couple. The guy says he thinks people are in the future, like nowadays, basically, people are going to meet on every single app that exists, and it will lead to romance. On Uber Eats or whatever, he says. It's just bound to happen. You think that more romantic connections are going to start being made on apps that aren't dating apps?
I don't know. The romantic connections they should even try to make them that way. Anything that leads with Uber or Lyft, you should never be trying to make a romantic connection on there.
That's just an example that he used.
And I'm just saying, there's a lot of these apps where you actually get to meet someone. Like, let's say maybe Facebook Marketplace. There's another one. These are not meant for these things.
No.
People get uncomfortable very fast.
Yeah, but I read this and I thought, actually, I could see this. I don't mean Uber Eats, but that's not where they met. I don't know why the guy said that, because I don't think that's particularly likely. But Duolingo,
that makes sense.
It actually makes sense, and I can see it going forward, because if you go back in time, or even now, people might say like, "Oh, you're single. Well, like, get out there, go take a language class, find something you're interested in, go take like a class in person with other people." And then you're going to meet somebody with like-minded interests. Maybe they're also single. Boom. It's a chance. You're saying there's a chance. That's what people would say now. But less and less people are going out and doing that. And more people are turning to apps to teach them things or to figure out their interests. And a lot of the apps have like social things on them. Like obviously Duolingo does. You think about like a lot of like betting apps. They have like groups. Like maybe you meet your sweetheart in a betting group on DraftKings or something like that. There's just many that come to mind where you might if you just stumble upon somebody in a group on the app, who knows? Who knows what could happen? I think it makes a lot of sense.
desperate guys right now just downloading apps.
Yeah.
Just shooting messages out there into the world.
Or
currently.
like looking up on the apps they already have. It's like, well, does this have a chat? Can I just start randomly shooting my shot with people?
See, I think Duolingo is a good one because Duolingo, you get to decide a lot of things. You're like filtering a lot of things. You get to decide which language, which country, things like that. So if you'd like to meet a woman that's maybe from Colombia or from Italy, you just start learning Italian.
Yeah, the tough part is long distance, but it clearly worked for this couple.
Hey, you'll figure it out. If you're committed,
you're already figuring out how to talk to them. So that's a start.
The first step, figuring out how to speak words to them.
Yeah.
Because when you start off, you won't be able to.
But it's like The Little Mermaid. If you feel a connection and you can't even talk to each other, you know.
There you go.
That's how you know.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on RadioU.
This is something that seems borderline mathematically impossible. I have a woman from Virginia that has just been arrested. It is her 63rd time being arrested.
63?
You heard that right. 63 times she's been arrested. She's been arrested 63 times. She's 31 years old.
That's 2 times a year.
2 times a year. If she started getting arrested when she was 1, when she was a baby, which she probably, I would imagine, probably at a younger age when she started committing crimes, but it probably wasn't that young. So she's averaging, you got to think at least like 3 a year. At least 3 arrests a year.
Easily 3 a year.
If
I'm
she
thinking
started,
4
yeah,
a
that's
year.
a 10. That's if she started getting arrested at 10.
10.
So
Let's say 15.
that would be, so now, yeah,
About
now we're
4
talking
a
about,
year.
yep, 4 a year. Her name is Chelsea Eileen Steiniger. And for her 63rd arrest, she didn't just, your 63rd arrest, you got to make it, you got to outdo yourself. And so on her 63rd arrest, she managed to rack up 21 total charges. That's on one arrest alone. Forget about the other 62 prior arrests. She got 21 charges, including identity theft, trading in stolen goods, and entering a house to commit assault and battery. She was recently found guilty of stealing a nurse's scooter.
Well, you can't do that.
Yeah, that's crazy. She was caught by police when an officer saw her steal a sweet tea inside a cafeteria in University of Virginia. So brought down by the smallest thing.
That's always how it goes, though.
She just couldn't stop, though. She's just like, this is really one of those things where it feels like you just can't stop. There's some impulse that she has that she cannot control. She's gone as big as stealing scooters and breaking into people's houses, stealing their identities, as small as stealing sweet teas.
Yeah, I feel like she thinks that once the floodgates have opened, well, she might as well just break every law then. That might as well just steal everything. I've already got 63 other ones lined up here.
It does kind of seem that way. Although she is able to continue on being like set back out into the world.
Which is wild.
Yeah. I don't know how I want that to work because
she's giving her 60 days in jail. That's what she's getting.
For whatever these crimes.
For her 63rd crime.
Yeah. But yeah, if it's a small crime, I don't know, identity theft, that's pretty, like entering somebody's house with the intent to commit assault and battery, that's pretty extreme. But should that be it for you?
I think that she needs to be set down in there for a while.
Yeah.
That she needs a reset. 60 days is not long enough for a reset.
No, yeah, you need some time to think. Maybe some rehabilitation would probably be nice.
Like, she's been in jail so many times, is 60 days even a big deal at this point? Is she like, 60 days in jail? That's nothing.
That's just my other home, is what she's thinking.
That's like 2 months. I'll be out in March.
Well, actually, when you put it that way, there are people out there, right, that, like living in prison is better than living on the street, so they just commit routinely. I'm saying this, I don't know if it's actually a real thing, but it sounds like it could be, where you just commit smaller crimes. You're not going to be locked up for a long time, but hey, it's not going to mess up your record any more than it's already messed up. It's not murder. I don't know. And then you get to stay in prison instead of being out on the street. I don't know.
Well, I think for this lady, she probably needs a longer sentence to maybe just reflect a while. Really think about what's going on.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But, I guess in prison, the sweet tea, you don't even have to steal it, right?
No, you don't have to.
They probably just give it to you.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
Now, Bradley Cooper. You may know him from what? The Hangover? Silver Linings Playbook? American Sniper. That's a big one.
People love American Sniper.
People love American Sniper. He's making the rounds because his new movie, Maestro, which he stars in and directed, it's got a limited theatrical release now. It's going to be out on Netflix December 20th. And so he's kind of pumping it up a little bit. He recently did an interview with radio legend Howard Stern. Howard Stern asked him, because Bradley Cooper, you might remember this, I believe it plays a role in Silver Linings Playbook. In real life, he's from Philly. He's a big Eagles fan. So Howard Stern asked him, would you this year rather win the Oscar for Best Director and Best Actor and have your Carey Mulligan, who's the other star of the movie, win Best Actress? Or would you rather the Eagles win the Super Bowl? Bradley Cooper's going Eagles. Without a doubt.
Adds up to me.
You think so?
Makes sense to me.
He's not yet won an Oscar. In his profession, that's the biggest accomplishment you can pretty much have, right?
I say it's one of the biggest ones.
The Eagles just won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And he's still taking Eagles Super Bowl victory, which we would have no involvement with whatsoever. And he's taking Eagles Super Bowl victory over the 3 Oscars.
But you got to hear him out, though.
Okay.
I agree with Bradley Cooper's choice.
Why do you say that?
Because, for many reasons, the first one being he has won so many awards already.
But not an Oscar.
He's won Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Picture Academy Awards. He's won 2 Grammys, 6 Golden Globes, a Tony, a British Academy Film Award. He has a lot of accolades.
Yeah.
And so I think this is very
The Eagles have a Super Bowl title, too, though.
But listen, I think this is very unselfish of Bradley Cooper. This shows he's a true Philly man. Because how many people are really going to be crying in happiness if Bradley Cooper brings home some Oscars? Rather, he wants the city of Philadelphia to be able to enjoy what is an incredible thing, which is winning the Super Bowl.
So you're saying that very unselfish of him.
Yeah.
All right.
Personal achievement versus having an entire fandom be so grateful.
Does that mean you, because of course I want to ask you this, I think the Browns are the best. Well, I mean, the Ohio State would be the best comp because they've also won recently. What would you give up, personal accolades, to have Ohio State win the championship this year? If there was a trade, you could be whatever. Here's where we can't add it up because there is no radio award that equates to. There's no radio award show. There's multiple award shows for actors. And directors. There's none for radio. We don't even know what it is. But let's just say you get the biggest honor in all of radio. Would you take that, or would you take Ohio State winning 1 championship this year?
See, for me, Ohio State, we win a lot.
Yeah.
So I might lean towards myself. But if you get through the Browns in there, that's a completely different scenario.
Yeah, but that's different because that's unselfish. That'd be long-suffering fans. There's people that have lived twice as long as you, 3 times as long. They've never seen the Browns win a Super Bowl or even accomplish much of anything at all.
And so I almost always lean Browns Super Bowl for a lot of those would you rathers. Where Ohio State, we win a lot more. We could win it next year.
Yeah.
But for Bradley Cooper, selfless.
Yeah, that's
man.
good of him. For me, I would take Oscars every time. if you give me the option, Oscars or Red Sox, Packers, Aaron Rodgers winning, I'm very selfish. I would rather the attention be poured on me. So maybe that's why I'll never make it.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
Here's a question for you, and I want people to text in on this too. See what our audience, what this community is like. How many books do you own? Text in at 8772 Radio U. Isaiah, for you, do you know off the top of your head how many books are in your household right now?
I know exactly how many books are in my home right now.
And the answer is?
1. I own 1 book.
Which book is it?
I bought this book approximately 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. It's a Basset Hound training book.
That's right. You've mentioned this before.
For my dog, Jim.
Hey, people with their books, they're always bringing, it's a conversation starter.
So I read a book on how to train my Basset Hound,
do you have
which
that?
I should get a full refund on because my dog is terrible.
Yeah. Do you leave it out as a conversation starter a little on the coffee table?
No, I should have it advertised. I should have it set up.
Because I'm convinced,
but if people saw it, they would be like, "Did you read it?" I'd be like, "I did, unfortunately."
Yeah,
yes.
you could share some knowledge. Share some knowledge with. I'm looking at this survey that says only 9% of Americans claim they don't own any books. So you're close. If you just get rid of that one, you'd be part of the 9%. But I'm also seeing that 13% say they own more than 25. So, actually, no, 13% say they own between 26 and 50, whereas 21% of people, 31%.
Let me do it.
Yeah, can we start? 31 own more than 100 books. And the only reason you have that many books is so that people can come into your house and they can point out a book on the shelf. You'd be like, yeah, I read that.
Read that book.
Yeah, it's a conversation starter, make yourself feel important and cool and learned.
When was the last time you walked into a home and you saw more than 100 books in there?
My parents' house used to be like that.
A lot of books?
Yeah, my mom.
A bookshelf, maybe?
Yes, lots of books.
At my parents' house, we have less than 10.
Uh-huh.
My mom and dad don't have a lot of books. Not big readers.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother had a bookshelf downstairs.
Yeah.
But that was mainly children's books. But I know that my grandma does read. I don't know how many books she has, though.
I was thinking I can picture one person or one family I know where they had a big bookshelf. And I don't actually know how many of those books, who was the reader in the family, if they were actually reading that much. But I just don't understand it because even if you're a big reader, why would you buy the books? They take up space. Why own books? It's why own... Do you read books multiple times? Who?
Some people do that.
You go back and you read Harry Potter over and over, or
people
Narnia,
do that for sure. What's the aesthetic, I think, as well.
Yeah.
If you are a big reader, then you have a bookshelf, and it's a nice little aesthetic for your home. This kind of sets up who I am,
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're a reader, if you have more than 100 books, then reading is your thing.
It is your thing.
That's your thing. Takes up a lot of time. And so you can advertise it. When you walk into the house, yeah, I read. I would love to have a bookshelf.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
But you couldn't back it up, though.
I wouldn't be able to.
Then people come in and start asking questions. You have to make stuff up. Yeah, there's a dragon in that one.
But how deep do I have to...
havoc.
How deep do I really have to go,
I mean,
I read that book.
If they haven't read it, and they don't know...
automatically win.
Yeah.
No matter what I say.
I guess so. So actually, yeah, that's a smart move. It's just having a big bookshelf, a bunch of books that you have not read.
It's like the guitar I have in my living room.
Yeah, right.
I tell everyone I can play it. I'm like, I'm not going to get it down, though. It's kind of out of tune right now. Same thing with the bookshelf. I just need some books.
Yeah. I mean, as long as it's just a one-time interaction.
Yeah.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the Riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Today's question from Leo, who says, would you rather be rich but never have a romantic relationship, or whatever romantic relationship you want. You're free to date, get married, whatever, but you're going to spend your life poor.
Ooh.
Which one are you going with at 8772 Radio U? And I think we should be clear here.
Go ahead. Yep. Clear
Because
it
I
up.
know what everyone's going to start like me. This is what I would say. So I'm going to clear this. You don't have to get divorced if you're choosing the rich and single option. It's not, would you divorce your person or would you break up with them for several $1 million?
This is a restart.
Yeah, this is, if you had to choose starting from day one, which would you choose?
And also, you can't do like well, I'd be poor and married, and then we'd make it work, and we'd save up money. You're poor.
Yeah, you just got to be poor.
You're just poor. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, there's no turning your life around.
Yeah.
You guys are poor.
All you have is each other.
Yep. No matter what.
Uh-huh.
I don't care if you hit the lottery in your little fake scenario. You're poor.
Yeah. That's this is the point. What's more important if you could only choose one, love or money? 8772 Radio U. You think we've covered all the loopholes and the little scenarios people will invent?
We can never cover them all.
No, we can't.
Wait till the texts come in.
Especially like this. Well, let us know which side you're going with in today's Would You Rather Wednesday. Rich and single for life or poor and happily married. 8772 Radio U. We'll see what people are saying next.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow at Radio U Official. The Riot. Radio U.
It's Would You Rather Wednesday. You can chime in on today's question at 8772 Radio U. The Would You Rather posed by Leo, who said, would you rather be rich but never have a relationship? You're rich and single for life. Or would you rather be poor, but you can get married, you can have a sweetheart, you can do, whatever. Which are you choosing? 8772 Radio U. Regina says love every time.
Respectable choice.
Respectable. Anthony said he's also going with love. He doesn't want to be lonely. He'd rather be poor and happily married than rich and lonely.
Respectable choice.
Yeah.
I think as Anthony called into us,
Yeah.
you think his wife was sitting right next to him? She's like giving him the beady eyes.
Yeah. Holding a gun to his head, perhaps.
He's like, no,
figuratively,
babe,
of course.
I'm doing it myself. I'm calling it myself. This is my idea.
I don't know. He sounded happy.
He sounded genuine.
Yeah. D going with relationship. Just because I'm poor doesn't mean they aren't. Yes, it does, D. That's the question. We covered this. Isaiah, what are you choosing?
I go back and forth here. There's a part of me that's like, man, because it's two completely different lifestyles.
Yeah.
You could be rich and single and you could live a happy life.
Yeah.
People say
Some people are single and not rich and live a happy life.
Exactly. But I think I'm pretty content. I think I could be a pretty good poor guy. It doesn't take a lot to make me very happy. My hobbies are very cheap.
Yeah.
As long as I have a TV, I can watch the Browns and the Buckeyes, the Cavs. I've got my dog. He doesn't cost very much money.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would go poor, happily married.
Really?
I think that would be my choice. Yeah, I think I'm pretty easy to please. I would prefer not to be poor, but if I had to be poor yet again, I am down with McDonald's and the Kroger discount food. Doesn't really bother me too much. I could live in a small house. It's okay with me.
It kind of sounds like you're describing your life right now.
It is. This is because I'm living it. I'm pretty happy right now.
You think you're poor?
I wouldn't consider myself rich.
When I'm thinking of poor, though, I think like people, like if somebody was asked to describe you, they would describe you as poor. Like that kind of poor. I don't mean,
you're thinking like poor.
I don't mean like out on the street, but just like you are scraping to make ends meet.
Paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. Like real down bad. McDonald's is a maybe. It's not a okay. It's a maybe.
Let me ask you this,
I'm thinking
though.
of poor.
Am I getting like regular showers? I don't look dirty, do I?
No.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Yeah. But you have like a bad apartment. You don't have the place you have now. Yeah, you have a bad apartment. you are at risk of bed bugs.
Ooh, man, that's so tough. You know what? We'll make it work.
You'll make it work. You'll have bed bugs together. You'll have bed bugs together. I feel like this is so wildly different because if you asked me this when I was like 16, I'd be like, oh, love. Yeah. Relationships are so important. And yet again,
Keep it rolling. I like where this is going.
I'm not saying if somebody offered me millions of dollars, I would dump my wife. I'm not saying that. We're very happily married. But if it was the choice of one or the other, starting off, I'm going with rich and single. And the reason is
hot dog
because being poor sucks.
Hot dog
it is
and Hudson.
no fun. And I think I guess I think about it this way. If you're rich and single, that's one hole in your life that you don't have a romantic relationship with anybody. But if you're poor and married, that's that romantic friendship, like that kind of hole is filled. But you're poor. Now there's a whole bunch of other holes that you have to fill.
There are a lot of holes.
And you don't have the means to fill them.
David says, I'm currently both poor and lonely. I'd rather add someone in my life and not be lonely anymore. You know what, David? You can do that.
Yeah, that's, I guess, more realistic.
I think it
Probably
might
the
be
more realistic take.
For people that are poor and lonely right now. I think it's more likely that you could find somebody than to become rich all of a sudden.
Yep, that's true. That is true.
You could find yourself a lady a lot easier than you could make $100,000.
There's a reason they call it the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's hard to attain.
But everybody can find themselves a girlfriend.
Yeah, that's not a dream. That's reality.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Some big news. Yesterday we talked about Mark Cuban. He announced that he is stepping away from Shark Tank. One of the things he is best known for is being on that show. And then that was announced, I guess, on Monday. And then yesterday it was announced another shock. The other thing he's most well known for is being the owner of the Dallas Mavericks basketball team. And it was announced yesterday that he is selling his stake in the Dallas Mavericks and will no longer be the owner of the team, although he will, in a very unusual setup, will maintain operational control of the team. People are trying to figure out what's going on with Mark Cuban, because these are very odd things to be coming in succession like that. Some are saying, see if you buy this, Isaiah, this has been rumored in the past. Some are saying that this lines up with him possibly running for president.
No.
You don't think so?
No chance.
It'd be hard to own an NBA team and run for president, wouldn't it?
I would say, no, I think you could do that.
You think you could pull it off?
I mean, because now he owns such a small percentage. He would have to hand off the basketball operations, though, I think.
Yeah, that
usually
would make
presidents
sense.
don't have multiple jobs.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's it is odd. I think that is a leap to conclusions when he's still going to be in charge in some way of the team, even if he's not the majority owner. Others are saying that the person he sold it to is important. The person he sold it to is a person named Miriam Adelson. She's the widow of Las Vegas casino magnate Sheldon Adelson. And so this could be a move, some kind of deal that lays the groundwork for Cuban to get involved in some casino resort building in Texas. That probably feels more realistic, more likely, doesn't it?
Yeah, you have to think, too, for Mark Cuban, I mean, he has turned the Dallas Mavericks into a total, success. When you think about when he bought them back in, the early 2000s, I mean, I think they're worth $3.4 billion now or something like that.
Yeah.
And when he bought them, they were worth in the millions. So I would say he's gone a long way with the Dallas Mavericks.
A pretty good return on investment.
Yeah, huge return on investment.
You could say, but that's sports teams in general. So you don't think he's running for president?
I think he's probably about to start something new. He stopped doing Shark Tank.
Yep.
He's now sold the rights to the Mavericks, but he's still in basketball operations, so you know that he still has a foot in the door there with some responsibility. But it seems as if he's trying to to get his money worth into some specific places. That way he's able to make his next big move. He's also 65 years old.
Yeah.
So he's not the young gun he once was.
He's almost old enough to run for president.
Yeah.
That feels like a leap, or maybe for some people too, wishful thinking. I don't think, although he's always rumored to be running, I don't think it's happening for him, but it is interesting because he's definitely working on something big. You don't just do this kind of stuff all at once too. It's not like it was a day, weeks, days, months apart. It was moments apart. These things are announced. Something big's coming from Mark Cuban. We all wait and watch and see what it might be.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
We've talked on the show before about the worst night of sleep you've ever had, but I want to know now the most unlikely place you've ever fallen asleep. A place where it'd be frowned upon, or where you just wouldn't think you'd be able to get any sleep. It wouldn't be comfortable. Let us know. 8772 Radio U, because I have a survey here of like the percentage of people that have fallen asleep in different various places. For example, 12% of people said they've fallen asleep in a nightclub or a bar. Do you think that number checks out?
I would say so.
Yeah, it'd be difficult to fall asleep there, right?
It'd be a tough place, but I feel like they were probably encouraged to do so.
Yeah, that's right.
It's probably way past time for them to go to bed if they're falling asleep there.
And they probably should not be driving either, I would say, if that's the case. Also, 5% of people said they've fallen asleep at somebody's wedding.
That's messed up.
You know what? I think that says less about the person and more about they went to a wedding that was too long and boring.
Or maybe they were uninterested in the wedding. Maybe they shouldn't have been invited.
That's right. But that number, in a sense, I thought that seems low. But then I thought most weddings are, like, they actually, the ones I've been to, the wedding ceremony itself, they keep it pretty tight. It's usually not that long. Because I thought for me, and I'm sure many people, although this is not actually covered in this survey, like, who hasn't fallen asleep at church at some point? But church is longer than a wedding usually. And you go more often.
And it's just so relaxing
for many
in
people,
there.
yeah. So, yeah, it is. It
It's
is.
so calming.
Sometimes it's nice and warm. That's what I remember a lot of, like, going to church.
They get that real nice music going.
Yeah, that's right.
Real calming music.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden.
1 in 10, so that's 10% of people say they've fallen asleep on the toilet.
Diabolical.
I have fallen asleep on the toilet. You ever fallen asleep on the toilet?
I never have done that, no. I've never done that.
I don't even know what the occasion was, but...
Sounds like you retired.
Yeah, but no, that's for sure. This is a good one. Caitlin texted in. She fell asleep at Steak and Shake.
Hey, they are open 24 hours usually.
Yeah, that's right.
You find yourself there at a weird hour. It might be a little bit more comfortable than it sounds
and
like.
And sometimes it can be pretty slow. So I don't know if you fell asleep and you're waiting on your Frisco melt and they just were taking their time. What are you supposed to do?
Maybe you already kind of filled up on the milkshake.
Mm-hmm.
You downed your milkshake. You were getting all kinds of comfy.
Susanna says she's fallen asleep on a ski lift.
You just keep on going around, don't you?
That's frightening.
You wake up.
I've never made the loop on a ski lift. You're not supposed to.
No, you're not supposed to.
You're supposed to go around.
And it's cold.
That's great. That's what I was thinking. It's cold and that's not very comfortable. And some people afraid of heights and those get up pretty high. It makes for a combo. That's a pretty unlikely combo. And you have skis on your feet.
She was comfy. She was tired.
Yeah.
Skiing takes it out of you.
She must have been bundled up. She says it's only for a few seconds. Let's keep getting some texts. I will reveal my craziest place I've fallen asleep. And maybe Isaiah will too. Question mark?
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Question is, what is the most unlikely place you've fallen asleep? Getting a lot of good texts coming in. Regina said she's fallen asleep in the shower before. You ever fallen asleep in the shower?
I have tried to. I've never fully fallen asleep, though. I've sat down in the shower before.
Yeah. Oh, I sit down almost every time. I haven't fallen asleep in the shower in a long time, but I'm sure that definitely sounds like me. That sounds like something I would do. Justin said he's fallen asleep at the wheel once, just long enough to scrape his fender on a guardrail.
Oh, no.
That'll wake you up. You've never fallen asleep at the wheel, have you?
Never.
It's actually shocking that I've never had that incident. I've had other bad incidents in cars, but I've never fallen asleep at the wheel. Let's see. Dee says that she fell asleep. This is great. You know, at Epcot Center or at Disney World where they have like the rides where you go around on a boat?
Yeah.
She fell asleep on the Mexican one in Epcot.
Oh, no.
Which just makes sense. It's so relaxing in Disney World. Like, it's a lot of running around. It's exhausting. It's hot. You're probably worn out. It makes sense on that soothing boat ride that you would fall asleep. I actually get that. She also said at church, the sound booth is like the perfect place to sleep. And that's true. I used to run sound. I'd also sometimes you'd sit back there with your friends because if you weren't in charge, you could still sit back there with them and then you could fall asleep and nobody even turns around and looks at you when things go wrong.
Oh, no, if you're in the back, you're cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Trent says, as ex-military, he can say he's slept in a truck, on a truck's hood, over inside a howitzer. That's one of those cannon things, right?
Mm-hmm.
He fires a howitzer. And he says he's fallen asleep while he's out clubbing as well. I was going to say that my top sleeping places, the most unlikely one would be a concert, which has happened multiple times for various reasons. I mean, well, no, it's always because I'm tired, but it's always at a festival. And it's but while the concert is going on, sometimes it's because I'm so tired that I can't stay awake. Sometimes it's because I didn't care about the concert, but it's a festival. So you're there at the concert, but it's whatever. I'll just have a nap. That was one. And the other one is casino. Because you think about it, casinos are open 24/7. If you're there with somebody who's real into it and I'm not, then it's kind of boring. And so even with all the blinking lights and noises, people, waitresses walking by with drinks, I just fell asleep.
I've got a good one.
Okay.
It's not me either. It is my mother. This is a fantastic story. I'm glad I remembered it. So a couple years ago, my younger brother, who attends the University of Cincinnati, which is irrelevant, except for a couple years back when they made it to the college football playoff. My parents and my brother attended the game against Alabama.
Yeah.
And there is a video of my mother, and bless her heart, she was tired. All right.
Of course she was.
It was right after Christmas season for the toy stores.
Yep.
They had traveled all the way down to, I believe it was in Texas. They went all the way down to Texas, and Cincinnati was being crushed at the time. It was 27-6.
Yeah, it was a bit of a blowout.
And there's a video of my mom sleeping during the college football playoff game. And we're glad that
on
she
TV?
No. I was going to say we're glad that she didn't make it on Barstool or ESPN or Sports Center. Because if you're sleeping at a college football playoff game, Cincinnati must have been down by a lot.
Yeah. That what remember that guy that went viral a while ago for sleeping, and wasn't it at the Super Bowl during an exciting moment? Yeah, that was your mom, except it wasn't
college football playoff.
Except it wasn't exciting. I'm seeing a couple people here too. Grace and Jessica both said they've fallen asleep floating in pools, and Jessica wanted to be clear, floating without not, because if you're floating on a floaty thing, that's normal, I guess.
No, I think if you're floating on a floaty and you fall asleep, that's a little.
It's too much?
I don't think it's too much, but I think it could be a little edgy.
But she said she was just floating, floating.
That's impressive. I can't float. So.
Yeah. I could teach you sometime.
No, Jacobs don't float.
8772 Radio U, the wildest place you've ever fallen asleep.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
We're getting to the end of the year. You've got a month to go. And so that means a lot of places putting out top 10 lists of the year, or crowning the thing of the year. And one of those that's leading it off, Merriam-Webster, the dictionary people, have crowned their word of the year for 2023. They claim, according to Merriam-Webster, the word of 2023 is authentic.
Authentic.
Yes. They think that played a huge role in our lives, in our discourse, in our lingo in 2023. You think about it, authentic cuisine, authentic voice, authentic self. Do you think authentic is a good choice for word of the year in 2023? Does it sum up 2023 well?
I don't know if authentic does it for me. It feels as if we're trying to do maybe a little bit of an overcorrection.
Why do you say that?
Because I think if we went back to maybe 2021, 2020-ish area, would people say maybe fake news?
That could have been. I'm trying to look back now. So yeah, you keep pontificating. I'll figure out what they've said in the past.
Many slang words. But I would say, authentic. Do people feel that they're being more authentic in 2023?
You know what? I don't know if they did, but that could be why. Because the more, and they actually say this, the more you question authenticity, the more important it is when you can find it. So if you feel like more and more people are being fake or putting on a front, then that makes the real authentic ones even more important, even more valuable. You want to go back, previous words of the year, 2022. It actually makes sense. It's a correction because last year was gaslighting.
Thank you. Boom, bang, bing.
Yeah. Prior, 2021, word of the year, vaccine. Obviously, in regards to COVID, of course. 2020, also dominated by COVID, of course. And so pandemic was the word of the year. Then,
so now we're on authentic. Can we maybe a new word? Authentic feels so lame. Last year was gaslighting.
I just don't know if that felt like a new, that was...
Vaccine, pandemic.
I felt like even gaslighting felt a little outdated, but at least it felt like modern.
Yeah.
Authentic doesn't feel like, if I think of 2020, when the other words of the year we've gone through, I'll be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I remember that year. That's a word that summed up that year. That was huge that year. Authentic this year? I don't know. I feel like it's a stretch.
Is there any new words this year people have been using? I feel like a new word should be the word of the year. Not an old one.
Yeah. I feel like more here later in the year, inflation has reared its ugly head.
But we can't pop that out now. That would have been a last year thing.
That feels like last year, doesn't it?
Yeah. If you're going to give inflation its year, it would have been last year.
Yeah, probably. But then, and then it kind of waned, and then it's kind of returned. What about... I just feel, you know what else I feel like I keep hearing people talk about is everybody's getting back out there. It's a bigger year than ever. More people traveling, more people watching TV, more people going to Taylor Swift shows. Maybe Swift, maybe Taylor Swift, maybe Swiftie.
Maybe Swiftie.
Yeah.
That is a new word.
Give her one more thing. One more thing. It sums up 2023. When you think back to this year, you're going to be like Taylor Swift. She ruled. Eras. Yeah. Maybe era.
Era.
Could be the word for 2023.
2023. Authentic.
Yeah. What would you choose?
What a lame year.
Maybe that's just the problem with 2023. It's not pretty nondescript as far as years go. I think that's actually accurate.
You got to think, when the coolest thing of 2023 was something that came out 12 years ago, you got to think that it couldn't be that great of a year.
Yeah. I don't even know what you're referring to.
Taylor Swift's whole tour.
I thought you were talking about Avatar.
No.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.